Hello people, good morning from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Welcome back to the channel. Doing few videos today, and it's pretty like early morning, late night you can say. The time is around 12:30, 20 past 12:30, around 12:40, okay, AM. Excuse me. So I finished one individual and one list. And the third episode, I just wanted to do an extra episode. Yesterday I didn't do any videos, okay? I was not okay. I was not physically unwell. I was feeling a little bit depressed yesterday, very, very depressed and down. Due to some incident that happened. It was a tragedy basically. If you haven't read the news worldwide, Bangladesh, just like the India's recent tragedy, that Air India, the plane tragedy, and then we also had one more fighter jet tragedy which landed in a school, and all the little children and kids, they it claimed their life. Okay, so lives, and a lot of parents, if they were just broadcasting it, and then the random videos and people's panic, and then they were screaming, all these people are like in terrible condition, so it's sort of very difficult for the whole country, and the country is going through very difficult time itself, in Bangladesh, because we have a interim government which is now like formed almost a year now, and we are having some difficulties in economy, like a law and order system, a lot of issues, because political parties, they're trying to fight and for power, election, all that. So in the middle of that, we are suffering already with economic disasters. We are having everything, price is just sky high on every product, business is slow, and you saw me that I don't buy that many fragrances, so it tells a story. Everything has impact, they're all connected. And I was living before this 1 year, like 1 year back, I was living very, very differently. I was living very carefree, I was living very stress-free and kind of like reckless. Nowadays I panic a lot, so before I spend on something, I think twice, do I need this? And when I buy something, I make sure I finish every single stock. Let's say I bought coffee, tea, like what do you call the biscuits, you call it what, crackers, right? And then let's say chips, or what was the other one that you call crisps in UK, right? So when you have this stock, let's say you buy something like Gatorade or something, I don't buy stuff like before. Like let's say I do not finish something, I don't buy a new one. Let's say my coffee is it's going to last about 20 more days, I do not buy backup coffee. Okay, so these things I'm very disciplined, and I'm trying to save a buck here and there. So the thing is, I'm just trying to tell you, like, I'm feeling the heat, and I really see that you need to hold some cash as a saving. I'm not saying the country is like going through like total breakdown or anything, just people are feeling the heat, weather is extremely hot. And now in the middle of all this, the tragedy happened. I think the government is not really, I'm sorry to say, I'm going to discuss something people may not like it, but in general I noticed a lot of things apart from the lives that it claimed. It's just the whole situation. I'll just describe to you what bothers me. Okay, so basically, like, there was this fighter jet which is from ancient time, very old, from China. Bangladesh bought as for their that what is the Air Force, right? And then sometimes they have the new pilots, they do like those trainings, and then the last part of the training is they'll do a solo flight, which if they can complete, they can be certified as a full-time fighter jet pilot, right? So these things are very critical, because our country is very, like, our airport is located in a very densely populated area. Bangladesh, Dhaka itself is like a lot of people live here in this country, and like the planes, they take off and it's just next to some building. You can see from the next buildings next to the airport, you can see the plane take off, and so close, it's so scary. So if you have little bit miscalculation here and there, a lot of incident happened before in Bangladesh, like what do you call that, airspace disaster, or what is that word actually, like, what's the word, that aviation disaster history is very, very bad for our country, Nepal. So because we run on very difficult conditions, like our aircraft is not all new, sometimes the people really have to depend on the skill more than the aircraft itself. So sometimes tragedies happen, but this thing, the fighter plane was just taking off, and it was supposed to fly like over a school, a residential area, which also is illegal. I heard that they didn't have permission to build that school on that area, but people sort of like here people are very corrupt. They will show protest with power, they misuse power, so they put places like buildings, they cross their limit, they don't leave room for roads and stuff. These things happen in our country, very corrupt. So government is also either helpless, or they're also in the corruption. So basically what happened was, these things you cannot like guess, like tragedies when they happen, no matter what, they're bound to happen, they will happen, right? That Air India crash, I cried, man, when I saw those videos over and over again, and I saw those faces. It always struck me, because in past years, like all these years I've been living, I used to fly and used to get very terrified in Malaysia, and that M16, right, whatever, the Air Asia and then Malaysia Airlines that got disappeared, that plane, it haunted me for a very long time, because you can relate, because you're on air, people see the safest mode of travel. But then again, when you see these so often in USA, I think that one happened a few days back, one happened in like few other countries, you see it's like worldwide, like it's a tension. So you get scared when I see aeroplane nowadays, I panic, like what if it comes down to our building and stuff, it became that. And I had like 2 nights back, I had a nightmare, like I saw like a huge explosion and all that. I just like, I woke up in a panic, I got so panicked and my mouth was dry and I was like freezing in the AC room. So I had to drink water and I just had to drink coffee to settle my nerve. So this jet plane, I'm taking time to tell the story. So it was taking off, but something was faulty in the plane, I guess. So the captain, he's a new captain, but he is a good, like one of the best, they said, lost control of that plane or that jet. And then very last second he had to eject because it was out of control. It just went and landed right in a school where there are hundreds of children, just finished their class and waiting to go home, or tuition. It's just instant, like the fuel, it's like when it boom, and then it's like the heat, it's just so much, no one can actually walk out of it, And then in the middle, there were just so many children, people, they're just running and nobody was helping them. So this is the part that messed me up. I'm not going to tell you like I'm the most kind-hearted person. I'm also selfish. I'm part of this society, just like the whole country or the, whole world, how it is now, selfish. I'm part of the selfish system that at one point, you don't really care. You're feeling numb. You feel selfish. You live like that. You don't really care for people. I am one of them like that, I'll take the blame. I care for my well-being. I care for business. This, of course, very selfish, right? My views, I'm doing the work right now because I have to earn. So in a country like ours where money is not really in abundance, we have to, because our countries like this, we don't have much option but to forget and move on very quickly. We don't mourn for very long. So this is by practice or by how we're used to, tragedies come and go and there's just never any justice. Nowadays the tragic thing is the tragedy happened and a lot of these idiots, they went with their phone and went live just to understood if it was media they're showing, it's okay, media coverage. But a lot of people didn't help any of the victims. They were not going to make it, I understand, but they didn't do anything about it. They just didn't even want to help. They just wanted to do broadcast so they can get views and they can make some money, from the views, which they got. And then the saddest thing is when we have rickshaws, trishaws, like tuk-tuks in like in Thailand, but we call it like CNG, which is like our version of tuk-tuk of Thailand. And then the trishaw is like either pedal, like you like ride like bicycle, or you can go with like a battery run motor, okay? A lot of people ask them to take these kids to hospital and then they ask for 6, 7, 10 times more fare in this kind of tragedy because they understood this is a time where they can make money, and then there are people who are selling water. Water is what, like not $1, is it like 10 cents or 20 cents, something like that, like not $1, $1 is 100 taka, isn't it? So anyway, so like 10 cents water or 20 cents at tops. People asking for like $3-4 for per bottle of water because they know that water is going to give them a little bit comfort, that victims, and they can feel a little bit better and they can cool down a little bit. So they want to make business. So we talk about our politicians, we talk about how corrupt they are, how greedy they are. And I'll talk about politicians, what they did, what our forces did, because the force plane, right? So after the tragedy, a lot of this nasty thing happened, which I absolutely, even a guy like me who are out of emotion, I'm very much like a robot, it messed me up yesterday. I don't think I cried so much, but it was like the disgust and that feeling of giving up, like you feel like that's it, there's just no hope. You would go to that state again and you just really understand one thing, in a country you are just waiting for a tragedy to struck you, and unless you get lucky for a very long time, you may be part of one of these tragedies and you won't get any justice and nothing will stop. Let's say something will happen, the bus will drive reckless and then it take your life, or motorbikes, whatever, So that's somewhere there are people who are with corruption. We don't need these old jet planes, right, which are taken down in 2005 or 10. We are running this for so many years, and for what? And we have actually budget of millions and billions, right? And we don't update because of what? Because our politicians and ministers, they need to get rich. Okay, so corrupted countries, this is a very common phenomena. So watching our own people, forget about politicians, when it's watching our own people trying to take advantage during this time, it showed two things to me. Our country is extremely poor in money. Another thing, we're extremely poor in heart. We are needy and we are rotten by need. So this is a very bad thing, and corruption happens in poor countries mostly because people are desperate for money because they don't have. So yeah, this thing, one thing that really messed me. Second thing, I saw that they are trying, maybe I'll get into trouble for saying this, but I don't really care. They're trying to hide the number of casualties or how many people perished, or they were just saying 20 people. Imagine in a class full of 150 where the plane just went in, like 150, maybe 200 in 2-3 classes, and imagine parents are sitting downstairs waiting for their children. They're in hundreds and they say 20. And now every day, because the severity of the whole thing was so much, people are just not going to make it in the hospitals, because they are like so much burn. So the interviews, when I see, it's like I didn't want to see at first, because these things I cannot take, because emotional thing, let's say, it's not just the people, the burn running, but it's just I cannot take when people are describing, like I was sitting here, my friend was there, and I just saw that he just disappeared in seconds, and they were just in shock, absolute shock. Their best friend, their younger brother, siblings, or their juniors, like little kids. It's just little kids. Every time, you cannot tell, like oh, it happened, I've seen so many kids gone before. Every time, it's humanity, man. Yeah, it's all the same, human beings, whatever. But children, they haven't seen life. We have seen life. Let's say it was one of me or you, old guys. If we perished, we can say, okay, fine, we lived for so long. But the children, they deserve to see the future. They need to grow up. They need to see the world. They need to, rebuild what's messed up or make a better future. They didn't get to see any of it. In our religion, we believe they go to straight heaven. They do that. The animals, children, because they're innocent, they go. I guess, I don't know heaven or hell, okay? It's taught in our religion. They will go to heavens because they're innocents, okay? You see even in English movies, like the puppies, when you lose your puppy, it's always in the stars, in the heaven, right? Because they obviously gonna go there, they're the sweetest thing. So another thing that I was telling you, like they're trying to hide the fact that so many numbers, they were removing the bodies, whatever, and then with that helicopter and everything, and they were just scolding people not to tell the truth, because this is what happens in Bangladesh, because the government will face backlash, right? So yeah, I saw it in BBC, they say only 20 people. I'm like, this thing doesn't change no matter what government comes, no matter how good people are in charge, whatever. But when politicians, they are all about money, they're all about power, who's going to come to power, who's going to get the money. They are rich people, they need more money, they need all of it. And when they do not get the power, the money, they start doing horrible things to the country. They even go against the country, they do plots. It's a very common practice in Bangladesh, and I've been shouting, yelling, saying, and I gave up. 8 years already here, I gave up in Bangladesh. You guys see me doing a lot of these morning thoughts. I talk about corruption, and people ask me, hey, you are part of Bangladesh too, you are part of the messed up situation, why are you complaining? I cannot tell them that I don't do these things. Even if I had the power, I don't think I can do all these things, because I was not raised like it. But those people are raised differently. When they see money, even the students, they are in power. When they see money, they're part of corruption. They don't take care of the last year's student, that movement. A lot of people, a lot of children, a lot of students got injured. No one asks them, no one gives them money or fund, nothing. No one even go and visit them. This is how we are ungrateful as a nation. This thing messed me up. Another thing messed me up is because this news, our tragedy, it was posted in every single country. Like I saw in Malaysia, I follow Malaysian newspaper, NST, Sun, Mirror, all these things daily. And it just came to me like, like they post the news, and I was like, okay, fine. It's at least world is knowing. But our neighbors, next door neighbors, we have a very toxic thing going on. And I want to clarify one thing. This is not about India and Bangladesh, or Bangladesh versus India. Many of the people are very strong, and I see like you guys write nasty things everywhere. Like those people who do even studying in universities, highly educated people are racist. Like from India they're screaming, but from Bangladesh they're screaming back, and they're just racial, regional, religious hatred. It's like extreme nature right now, especially since the last government fell. So when I was talking about the Air India tragedy, I told you like I was in like tears and I was into pieces. Okay, like I couldn't take all those faces, like especially children, 3, 4 children. This one family, the whole family perished. And this is very difficult to take. I don't really care where they're from, what their religion is. Children are children. Human beings are human beings, isn't it? Like if you're a normal human being, forget about good. If you're a normal human being, you feel even pain when you step on a dog's tail or a cat's tail. When they protest, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, baby. Like you do that, right? As the best of creations, human beings supposedly, we are the worst at everything. And I'm going to just throw out a little of anguish. I'm not just saying the Indian people are the media people that saying, hey, they're saying all these nasty things like this, all the sinners, terrorists, they just perished, in this. It happens from Bangladesh as well. Some people, they go like, oh, yeah, like this, the ongoing so much of hatred due to thanks to our politicians. When it's time to show sympathy and stand together, at least show remorse, or not remorse, like at least shows, like, like a lot of countries, they showed, like we yesterday had a game from Pakistan, Bangladesh. The Pakistani players, their ex-players, the board, their politicians, they all said, we are very heartbroken. Even in England, West Indies, people who came and played in Bangladesh, they all over the world, they said, we stand with Bangladesh and we're so sorry for your loss. And when I saw those, they're like putting ha 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 react in this, and they're just saying all these things, Then I'm like, you can say like, why don't you ignore? Some people are always gonna be like that. No. I'm just a tiny human being, like I live in Bangladesh, I get a lot of hatred, a lot of bashing. I don't care for that. That's okay, because people do not know me, people do not know our culture. They just assume, okay? But people who know better, people who are educated, they have PhD degrees, they are professors. When I see athletes, when I see singers, all these things from, let's say, the opposite country, India, these people have great profile pictures on the cover photos. They are with their college buddies, university buddies, they're happy. They are just like us. They have family, they have friends, they sing, they go to excellent restaurants, they do vlogging. Just people like us, they have nice cinema, and the people supposedly very sensitive, great people. And when you see some of these people, I went and checked their profile, they are not from the streets, they are not from political parties. They're either brainwashed or raised like this by their parents, or they're influenced by the media. So who are behind this? Someone is definitely they have to take responsibility, right? So there is just no, absolutely, among people in our area, among people, among politicians, whoever, they don't care. Nobody cares, okay? Because it's all about power, money. And when I'm talking about India, you guys don't think like my country is any better. We also are like this, we go blind, like support. Or Palestine, we have to support, we have to destroy everything, Coca-Cola, everything. Where is people now in Bangladesh that protested, burned, and then looted Bata showroom? They destroyed Coke, and then they destroyed restaurants where they carried anything supposedly Israeli products. None of them. They just like 1 or 2 days they're excited, then they forget. This strategy that took place, it will be forgotten in 1 week. At best 10 days. People will not remember, because tragedies like this happen over the years, over and over again. Concrete fell on the car from a construction site. People immediately, whole family in the car perished. Explosion in near our Bay of Bengal. A lot of people, they just perished. No one remembers. Huge fire, in the restaurants broke out. People were trapped and they just lost lives. Nobody remembers. I remember. And I cannot say that, like it stops my life. I cannot eat. I have to carry on. I wake up, I have to have breakfast. But sometimes, it just makes me wonder, man, I'm so powerless. I'm so powerless. I cannot do anything about it apart from praying. I cannot make any changes. It makes me very, very, helpless. And when people, some more, instead of helping each other, they just spread haha react, they spread hatred, and then they just laugh at casualties, I just see no hope. We are alive. We're doing so good in real life. We are achieving a lot of things, but we failed as human beings, as a race. And it just messed me yesterday so bad. Sorry. I just really wish someday, one of these days, people who are in charge, who are having the power, instead of doing this nasty politics, hiding the fact that how many people gone missing or what is the real casualty, you actually be human being once, because you are the guardian of the world or the country. Stop doing these nasty things. and let people live not in fear that every day we go we have to be worried our children will not come back, our family may not come back, I cannot come back, I cannot go anywhere, there's no security, no one is going to own up. When they will lose one of their family members, they will also mourn, and I don't want to wish them that. I don't want to wish even bad people they lose children, but it really messed me up so bad. So guys, like, you can do one thing that, maybe you can think of life, maybe you can do a little bit more time investment with your children, family, and instead of running behind money, because forget politicians, our people are so corrupt as well. We are all so blind, we are always so selfish, like we see our happiness, we do not care for children future. Our time is up, bro. We're not gonna live for very long, but whatever we have seen, the children also have the same right to get or better. And if we can just, like, maybe one day realize that, if it's not our children, maybe it's someone else's children, maybe they could be our children, and if something wrong going on, we should protest, we should definitely do. If, let's say, we have to stop thinking like this is not our problem, okay, none of our family was attacked. I remember, like, one of my friend's colleague sister, she lost life. She was a teacher. I'll just tell you last story. She was inside the classroom and she was also a victim. She was already like 4th-degree burn, and she tried to save children. She took out at least 10-15 children, but she didn't make it. She went to hospital and she lost her life too. When I see people like this, like, they are so good people also around. They give their life. They, until the last second, they do live like humans. Maybe something's wrong with us, we are just like gone so wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not going to continue the video for very long. Just want to say, keep our country in your prayers and love your children, your family. And if you see something is wrong, protest and stand next to your brothers and sisters. That thing is important. Okay, so everybody take care and keep our country in your prayers, and wherever in the world, forget about religion, whatever. Feel for human beings. The pain is real. Those who lose, they know. I didn't lose anybody, but I feel I did. Take care, guys. Okay, good night from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and thanks for watching. I'm sorry I didn't plan to do this, but your prayers should be a lot. It will mean a lot, and if we all together can change and not be selfish, that would be great. Take care. Good night from Dhaka, Bangladesh.